What up, people? So I just wanted to do a quick video on two bikes that I was pretty interested in. One being the Kawasaki KLX300 and the CRF300L that just may come to the United States. I have not gotten any information on whether it is going to come to the United States, but hopefully it does. So looking at the CRF250L specs versus the 300L specs, not a whole lot of difference. But unlike Kawasaki, it looks like Honda did make some bigger changes to their 250 over Kawasaki and their 250. So looking at the horsepower differences on the CRF 300L versus the 250L, it looks like now instead of 24.4 horsepower on the 250L, you now have 31 horsepower on the 300L, which is a pretty big upgrade. Now, one gripe I think everybody's gonna have if this bike does come to the United States is the fact that the subframe is connected to the main frame of the bike. Unlike the 250s where it was detachable, you could unbolt the subframe in case you wreck the bike and change just that part out. Now it looks like the frame is going to be all one piece, which is good in some ways, but bad in others. So if you wreck the bike, what are you going to do? You have to get an entire new frame. So don't loop it. It does, however, make the bike a little bit better on the weight savings, according to what Honda is thinking. That's the route they're going with that. And I think it'll be a little cheaper to manufacture the bike, having that subframe attached to the main frame of the bike. If you were to ask me, I'd say, don't like it. Don't want that. I'd rather the subframe to come off in case the bike does get wrecked and I wanted to change that out. But I'm not Honda and they know more than I do. So hopefully it works out. I just think a lot of people are going to be a little more timid on the bike when it comes to wrecking it because of the fact that you may destroy the entire frame of the bike by just wrecking it in a wheelie or wrecking it on the trail or whatever have you. So on the CRF 250L versus the 300L, it looks like you had the same transmission, the 6-speed. That's what we all want. That's what we all need. I wish Suzuki would do that with a new DRZ 400. Another big deal that Honda did with the CRF 300L versus the older 250 is that styling has been redone. The CRF 450L has that headlight that looks real slick and clean. Well, now it looks like the 300L is going to have that same headlight, which is awesome because I love the styling of the 450L. So hopefully if it does come to the US, they stick with all that. Now, what would be really cool is if Honda did come to the US with this 300L and also made a supermoto version of it. That would be pretty sweet. I would really like to see something like that happen. But if not, I might even get my hands on a 300L and make it into a supermoto if I can, because that just seems to be the thing I like to do. So if not, it's okay. I'll just see about making one. But I'm really hoping that Honda does bring this bike to the US. I'm definitely going to keep my eyes peeled for it. And if I find out any information on that, I will be making an updated video. I've been waiting on Kawasaki to make this new drop. Pretty excited about this new drop. They had big hype around all this. November 23rd, we're gonna drop all these new bikes. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? A lot of people had speculation. Maybe they're coming out with a big old KLR 700, or maybe they're coming out with a 300SM, or maybe they're coming out with a new 400SM, 350. The hype for me personally, I was excited. I really wanted to see what bikes Kawasaki had to offer. Well, today, November 23rd, the drop happened. Ain't gonna lie, a little disappointed. Honestly, it's a big bore 250. That's kind of what it looks like they just dropped. You know, you had the KLX 250 and the KLX 250 SM. Both cool bikes, super fun bikes, super reliable bikes. But in the dual sport world, we were hoping for something different. You know, that unicorn bike, maybe like all aluminum frame, 6-speed transmission, fuel injected, little beast with new styling. Well, Kawasaki did not do that. Looks like they just took their 250, which from the factory, you could buy a big bore kit for that 250 and slap it on and make it a 300cc bike. From the factory, that's cool. I would love to have had one and been able to do that. Now, it looks like Kawasaki just got the idea to take that 250 and do it already and just rebrand it as a KLX 300SM, and now they have the new dual sport 300. I was really hoping they would have took that new 300R and took that exact bike just like they did the 230R and 230L and just made that swap over to a street legal 300R. That would have been cool, but instead it looks like they just took their old 250 KLX and made it a 300. So is it cool? Yeah. Is it worth it? Probably not, honestly. I mean, looking at it, if you look at the 250 and you look at the 300 now, it almost looks like the same bike, just has a different sticker on it and a little bit more CC to it. All right, so looking at some specs on this bike, you got a 292 cc on the 300 now, and you have a 249 cc on the 250. Now, I don't know if Kawasaki is going to discontinue the 250 and just stick with the 300, but I mean, is that really enough cc's to switch from the 250 to the 300? My opinion, no, absolutely not. I mean, 292 and 249, you're not really getting a whole lot. Now, if that's your thing and you just want a little more power out of the bike, I say go for it. It's a pretty cool little mod you could do. But as far as buying a new bike like that, unless you are already in the market to get either the 250 or the 300, I'd say get the 300. But as of just upgrading just to upgrade, probably not. Looking at the price also of the 300 versus the 250, you're in the same ballpark. You're at about $5,600 out the door for both of those bikes. Now the SM is going to cost you a little bit more at about $6,000. If you were in the market, go for it. But if you already have a KLX 250, I would say stick with it. Maybe just do some power upgrades on your own. So the seat height is pretty much the same on the dual sport version. You're looking at 35 inches versus 35.2 inches on the new 300. On the SM, obviously with the 17-inch wheels, you're going to be a little shorter at 33.8 inches. So even the weight of the bike is the same on the 250 versus the 300 dual sport. You're both 304 pounds wet, and the supermoto is just a little bit lighter at 302 pounds. So not really a big difference there either. Looks like Kawasaki just made the same bike and just put a different top end on it. But for now, really, overall, it looks like the KLX300 and this Honda CRF300, it looks like they're both pretty good bikes. I'm glad to see the 300 cc's coming to America, possibly, because that seems to be a good size for a motor for a dual sport, in my opinion. I love a 300 cc bike. Something like that would be just light enough to have a lot of fun on, but also have a lot of power to squeeze out some fun on the trails and also on the street. Because the 250 is fun, but I had a 250L, and honestly, it just wasn't quite enough power for the weight of that bike. It needed a little more. So I'm glad to see that Honda did make a 300L on that. While I'm talking about it, I just saw that on Reddit, a subreddit popped up, our Supermoto article about the new 300cc Kawasaki Supermoto. So I'm gonna go ahead and just read some of the comments just so I'm not missing any information on it. Looking at it, looks like an awesome little bike. And the first comment is, one thing for sure, another factory sumo is a win for us, from Agent Stark. That guy is absolutely right. Any factory supermoto is going to be a win. So he is really hitting on the head with that one. And another guy is asking about a mention of power. He says, in his opinion, it is ugly as hell, but could be a serious competitor to the DRZ400 for new riders. And that I definitely agree with. A 300cc fuel-injected bike from 2021 compared to the older, outdated DRZ400 is definitely going to be a competitor to it. So in a way, I wish that Suzuki would take this and be like, damn, we really need to update our DRZ400SM. But then again, Suzuki, I just don't think it's able to update the DRZ400SM because it's basically grandfathered in. So if you try to update that bike, it just wouldn't be legal to ride on the road in today's world of emissions. So that's probably why Suzuki has not touched their DRZ400 in so long. They're just going to keep it at that wonderful mixture that it is, but not update it like we want with an aluminum frame, 6 gears, and other things like that. So it'll probably just stay like that. The only thing Suzuki could really do is make a completely new bike. No power figures on it yet. So one guy said he's going to guess 27 to 31. That engine is probably a very mild state of tune. Can probably see a 40 horsepower and 275 pounds with 2K thrown at it. I do agree with that. Looking at the Honda 300L that's coming out or possibly coming to America, I think that was on the website at 31 horsepower. So I'm guessing it's probably going to be in that range, 27 to 31 horsepower. So I think that guy's right on that. Another guy said on here, I think this won't just be a competitor with the DRZ400SM, but kind of an upgrade since it's newer, lighter, fuel injected with 6 gear and so on. So I kind of touched on that topic just a minute ago, and I agree with him. I think it is going to be a good competitor to the DRZ400SM. Now, as good, debatable. Oh, here we go. One guy was talking about wanting to upgrade it, and he says Suzuki won't. Problem with the DRZ isn't that Suzuki won't update it, it's that they can't update it. If they would, then it couldn't be legal to sell anymore. And since they don't have any other 300 to 500cc singles that would be as fast as today's standards and would meet the legal stuff, they won't put their DRZ to sleep, which pretty much what I just touched on, and that guy is most likely right. Suzuki probably will not update the DRZ 400. So 69 with Leaky Colon commented, finally, it looks pretty nice for a street ride. 11:1 compression ratios and fuel injection are super nice. 6 gears, 9 inches of front travel, 8 inches of rear suspension travel with some adjustments. 300 pounds, heavy, but less getting knocked around by wind maybe. 33.9 inch seat height. This is definitely giving the stock DRZ a run for its money. Agreed. Another guy said, don't get me wrong, new supermotos are always a step forward, but why have they been basically he's just saying, why have they been so damn ugly? Why would you take effort and make a brand new bike but not having a single look to the most sold competitors like KTM? Sorry for bad English. Yeah. Basically, he just thinks that it's ugly, which, you know, agree to disagree. But, you know, when you buy a bike, you always most people want to customize it to their own looks. So, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Kawasaki's looks lately, especially with that, the 230L they came out with. I hate the headlight on it. Honda is going in the right direction with the looks, but any bike can be changed to your specification. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. Another guy, here you go, touching on, this looks like a good alternative to the CRF300L that Honda has been touting. Let's just hope one of or both are coming to the UK. And I feel the same way. Slater Space commented that. Feel the same way, Slater Space. The 300L, I have a good idea that it would come to the United States, especially now that Kawasaki has just released this 300. You know, obviously Honda and Kawasaki are going to want to compete against each other for those sales. So really, Honda, bring that bike here to the US. It definitely needs to happen. I could definitely see it happening more now that this bike from Kawasaki has been released. TG690 commented on here. He said, that's awesome. I'll probably end up with one just for the ease of buying a factory street legal supermoto that is fuel injected. Won't be as powerful as the 450s, but hey, at least it's also half the price. Plus, great for competition. And this guy is also right. I agree with that. No, it's not a 450, but not everybody actually wants a 450. It's awesome to have that much power in a bike, but a 300, I find for beginners, intermediates, and experienced people all alike, a 300 is a really good CC bike, especially for a supermoto. Not only is that a good amount of power, in my opinion, it's also the price factor that goes into all this. Because yeah, you could go buy a 450 supermoto or dual sport, but you know, who wants to buy a dual sport for $10,000 or somewhere in that range, $9,000? And you know, as a first bike, definitely not. You know, maybe if you're really into it and you want that, awesome. But a 450 is going to be a really big price difference between these 300s and these 250s that, you know, Honda, Kawasaki are now wanting to put out. Sir King said on here, it's got my attention. I was going to get the DRZ for sure next year, but I'm considering this in addition to the DRZ. Just waiting on reviews now to decide for sure. I'm with you on that one, man. I do want one of these 300s, whether it be the Honda or the Kawasaki, but I do already have the DRZ 400, so definitely sticking with that for now. But I'm not going to overlook these 300s. So really, that's it for this video. I just wanted to talk about some of the new bikes that I've seen coming out or possibly coming out. So, you know, let me know in the comments what you guys think of these bikes. If you like them, put something in the comments. If you know a little more information about them, put that in the comments also. I'd love to hear about this bike because I am selling a few bikes and I am interested in buying something new. and these 300s were something that I was really looking forward to. So let me know what you guys think. If y'all like these bikes, post in the comments. And that's about it for this video. Peace.